The violence is already started. There will be blood in the Ottawa streets. This is Covert Radio. I've said this for the last 2 weeks. This is not going to end peacefully, and there's no way these tyrants are going to give an inch at this point. You know, at first, when all this started a couple years ago, I toy around with the belief that maybe they thought that we would oppose this. But once they realized that we're so dumbed down, drugged up, unhealthy, and dependent, they can do whatever they want. They can do whatever they want to you. They can do whatever they want to your elderly parents. They can do whatever they want to your children. And there's nothing you're going to do about it. You understand? Makes me sick even talking to you and wasting my time. And I'm not talking about my core Covert Radio listeners. I love you guys. I'm talking about any of these demonic lefties that may have stumbled onto this content or been shown this for a potential lawsuit. But you know what? Sue me. Sue me. Go ahead. Sue me. Go ahead. Because, I will at any point, at any time, at any place, I will gladly have this conversation in front of 100, 1,000, 10,000, 20,000, 200,000 people. I will talk to anybody at any time about anything. All right. And I'm asking a question here. Well, let me fix my mic here. Something's going on. I'm asking a question. And I want to show you something. And, again, this is like, let's see here. How can I explain this? Let's say you're an expert seamstress and you've made clothes for you and your entire family, your entire life. And then you go to to an outlet somewhere and you see some clothes and you can say, oh, this is made good because I've made clothes my whole life. I know what good stitching is. I know what good fabric feels like. I know what, strong, durable seams are. And, I can tell because this is what I've done for 30 years. I've sewn, so I know. I'm going to relate that to what I'm about to show you. And I know a lot of people have never heard of this mental disorder, but, I have to ask, like, if you're threatening people to take away their livelihood, if you're threatening to unleash tyrannical police on them, if you're threatening to stop their financial transactions, if you're openly saying that you're going to put an end to their money, you're going to have banks watch them, you're going to have financial institutions watch over and use their own discretion as to if you can or cannot have money. That sounds pretty familiar to me if you want to relate that to the mark of the beast. But we're going to see if Covert Radio is right. because I think I've pointed something out here. I've noticed something, and I'm going to point it out now that I don't think I've never seen anybody do this yet. I've never seen it. I've never heard it. You know, and I'm pretty much, I try to keep up on developing news with Canada because this is historical, what's happening. But I've never seen this. But I do have to, you know, again, say that you've got to be psychotic to have a job like the deputy prime minister. And that's the young woman standing there. Well, if we're facing the screen, if you're looking at your screen, she's right to the left of the prime minister. And she's the deputy prime minister. And I think Covert Radio has discovered something. Do you guys know what Tardive Dyskinesia is? You ever hear of that? No, I know you haven't. It's called Tardive Dyskinesia. And it's a psychological disorder. It can be caused by a myriad of things. Uptake inhibitors, very, 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 very strong abuse of narcotics, very prevalent abuse of mood stabilizers. You can also get tardive dyskinesia from abuse of cocaine, abuse of meth, and a bunch of other things. But it is a neurological and physiological, psychological disorder. And I just want to show you something. Pay attention to Little Miss Deputy Prime Minister here, okay?
After discussing with Cabinet and caucus, after consultation with premiers from all provinces and territories, after speaking with opposition leaders, the federal government has invoked the emergency.
Okay, do you see what I see? When I first saw this the other day, a few days ago, I could not take my eyes off of her. But then again, too, if you're not a seamstress, then you don't know the stitch you're looking at. Maybe if you're not a psychologist, then you don't know the condition you're looking at. And this is screaming tardive dyskinesia. I'm going to play it another 30 seconds here. Watch it.
Emergencies Act to supplement provincial and territorial capacity to address the blockades and occupations.
Involuntary head movement, involuntary twitching, involuntary twisting. You can't really see what her mouth is doing, but another side effect of this disorder is lip smacking, which I'm not going to get all into this because, you know, I'm only doing this so I don't have to include it in the video I'm about to record. But I mean, do you look at the guys around everybody? I mean, the other two gentlemen in this frame, not including Trudeau, but I mean, what do you see?
Want to be very clear. The scope of these measures will be time limited, geographically targeted, as well as reasonable and proportionate to the threats they are meant to address. The Emergencies Act will be used to strengthen and support law enforcement agencies at all levels across the country. This is about keeping Canadians,
whipping her head around. I mean, this is all apparently involuntary. Here's an example. This is a rating scale right here, what I'm about to show you. This is a rating scale for people who have tardive dyskinesia, and it's going to show you the different variations of it.
Try not to be distracted by the movements in her lower face. Please focus your attention on her eyebrows.
See the involuntary head movements, the mouth smacking. She's looking wide eyes, and she's whipping her head around, wide eyes, and
with opposition leaders.
Again, you can't tell the lip
federal
smacking.
Government has invoked the Emergencies Act to supplement provincial and territorial capacity.
I mean, just body whipping, twisting is what they call that.
In the second segment, notice this patient's blinking. Try not to be distracted by the other facial movements. Notice the blinking takes place during the finger tapping exercise. This is one of the activated movements. The 1-point score reduction used by some examiners is not recommended. The score on the screen does not include any such reduction.
Yeah, in the scores, they're scoring severity of each, indication. But again, look at her eyes.
The federal government has invoked the Emergencies Act
blink, whip,
supplement
blink,
provincial
twitch,
and territorial
twist,
capacity
switch,
to address the blockades.
blink, twitch, twist. Like,
the second body area to be scored upon completion of the Ames examination is that of the lips and perioral area. The examiner is looking for evidence of puckering, pouting, and smacking.
which she constantly does when she was, tyrannically saying how now the banks are going to watch everything you do. They're going to take your money. They're going to stop. They're going to freeze your accounts. They're going to stop you from sending money to any, cause that you want to. I mean, this next video by Covert Radio, we're getting into this and just how unprecedented this is. Unprecedented it is. And historical this is of literally normalizing tyranny. And everybody's just like, what's the gun for, Hold the line, Here, I'll just show you a couple more here.
Segment 5 shows obvious perioral movements.
I mean, the blinking, the twitching, identical. We can't see what's going on under her mask, but I'd have to,
This
guarantee.
man's
Look at
movement
this.
disorder also involves the neck muscles, which should be scored on Section 7 of the examination. For now, focus on just the perioral movements. Notice the frequency, also the amplitude, that is to say, the size of the movements.
Okay, let's look at the amplitude here. Let's see.
To supplement provincial
Big.
and territorial capacity
Massive.
to address the blockades and occupations.
Massive. I mean, these are massive moves. These aren't little twitches. I mean, this is literally, there's a couple disorders in this. I'm not getting into this. I don't want to waste any more time. But again, this is 10, 15 minutes that I did not have to put into the next video that I'm about to record. And, my only point is this. I'll link both these videos if you really want to look at them. The point is, I'm only asking a question. How psychotic do you have to be to remove people's freedoms? How psychotic or really narcissistic do you have to be? See, there's different forms of psychosis. You could be a narcissist, like possibly Trudeau is, who's a pretty boy, fuck boy his whole life, who's been the golden child of all the elitist men who they'd spend weekends with, Uncle Jimmy. And, you can have that level of elitism and narcissism, and you have no abilities to have any scruples or compassion for what you're doing. And then you have people like her who potentially either are a psychotic or so drugged up that it's caused psychosis. And I'm asking, what level of psychosis do you have to maintain to be able to start tyrannically removing people's freedoms? I'm Covert Radio. Please stay tuned for the next video because it's going to be ground shaking and it's going to be information nobody has pointed out to you yet. I promise you that. You could have watched every live streamer, every video about Canada for the last 2 weeks that you wanted to, and nobody is going to point out what Covert Radio is going to point out in this next video. Stay tuned. You guys take care. Have a good day.